not Francis Ngannou full speed crashing into her on a motorcycle. So listen, I don't know what the deal is. I don't know what's going on with the Ngannou stuff, but hey, it seems like he's not going to get in any trouble for it whatsoever.
At some point, guys, you can't be fighting like in the street. When is it not cool to be the tough guy anymore? At 40 years old.
I don't know what that was, and that isn't my business, quite frankly. Maybe Nate's got no problem with it. For all I know, there was some producer. They worked something. Sometimes those things happen, but it's not what it looked like. It looked like a nut. Looked like some jerk. But it was looking for attention, but he also was creating a bit of a dangerous environment.
Go out anywhere. I don't do, and even at 41 years old when I fought my last fight, I wasn't out doing the same things I did that when I was in my 20s. In his 20s, walking around like that was cool, but at 40, it just serves no purpose to me. It just serves no purpose to me.
Daniel Cormier has shockingly called Nate Diaz and Jon Jones violent and irresponsible. The ex-champ is not holding anything back as he wonders about their state of mind and behavior. Meanwhile, the main altercation escalated rapidly, catching the attention of the crew and everyone else involved. As someone who is known to be hot-headed, Diaz's behavior raised questions of whether he had crossed the line. The whole incident has since become viral, with fighters and fans expressing their opinions. The footage from the show has now been leaked, showing the entire altercation. Jon Jones was also anxious looking in the brawl, visibly displaying signs of discomfort as events transpired. His response indicated that the altercation hit a chord and that he looked uncomfortable with the amount of ferocity being displayed. This tangible tension served to further heighten the overall ferocity of the altercation, demonstrating how seasoned combatants can be caught out by raw violence outside the confines of the cage. Jones subsequently spoke about the altercation, detailing why it began. He claimed that tensions had been mounting for a while because of personal problems and grudges, which eventually got out of control on the program. Jones said the confrontation was not entirely unforeseen based on the relationship between the people involved, and the tense conditions only served to make a confrontation more probable.
Yeah, we had one of our young fighters, a guy named Zadig. He was playing with Nate. You know, he wanted to play fight with Nate. And Nate kind of came in a little bit on edge. I think he had some previous beef with some Russian fighters, so he was a little bit on edge when he got here. Play fighting with Nate was not the best idea. It became serious right away, and we had to replace Nate. You know, I've been around the Bushido spirit for a long time, that martial arts spirit where everybody have a certain degree of kind of like certain rules you don't cross, like a martial arts spirit and everything. And I don't think there's a lot of that here. Some guys are like warriors, and some guys are really just kind of street fighters, you know. And this show is like, there's nothing like it. There's really nothing like it.
This was something that caught the eye of many, and Daniel Cormier was one of the first to comment. The ex-UFC champion condemned the behavior, stating that it did not serve any purpose and only tarnished the sport. Cormier questioned the use of such acts, particularly in a public setting, and was concerned about how it portrays fighters as a group. His remarks have fueled the ongoing controversy over Diaz's behavior on the show.
Go out anywhere. I don't do, and even at 41 years old when I fought my last fight, I wasn't out doing the same things I did that when I was in my 20s. In his 20s, walking around like that was cool, but at 40, it just serves no purpose to me. It just serves no purpose to me.
He also responded to Jon Jones's remarks on the fight, citing the irony and questioning Jones's position considering his own past. Cormier stated that at this point in their careers and lives, these street fighting brawls have no place. He reiterated that fighters of their caliber should be setting a better example, rather than partaking in unsafe confrontations that bring nothing but negativity to the sport.
Get into it with this Russian kid named Zalik. So, John Jones then said this, right, when speaking of the altercation. He said it got very bad, very fast, because slap fighting with Nate Diaz isn't a great idea. But not only is slap fighting with Nate Diaz not a great idea, it's like, you know that that kid probably carried a little something with him and thought, I can probably get this dude. But, all right, so, and the kid is 19 and 17. This is not a young guy, right? I'm looking at this guy with his Sure Dog record, right? That's insane. That's a guy that's been around the game for a long time. So this guy knows who Nate is. He's seen Nate. He's probably pretty aware of his issues with Khabib and probably figured, hey, you put some good favor with the guys over in the back if you go and handle that if it turns into something. Obviously, it turned into something. But, I mean, Nate Diaz is, I mean, how old is Nate now? Luis, put that to me real quick. Nate Diaz has got to be almost 40 and 40. And it's like at some point, right? This is just me. Yeah, he's 40 years old. At some point, guys, you can't be fighting like in the street.
Chael Sonnen also commented on the incident, but his criticism came from a different direction. Instead of defending anyone, Sonnen targeted the contestant on the show who engaged in the scuffle with Nate Diaz. Sonnen accused the incident as attention-seeking behavior, alleging the contender goaded Diaz intentionally to be relevant. Sonnen did defend Diaz somewhat, saying that not all reactions should be labeled without seeing the intent behind the conflict.
I don't know what that was, and that isn't my business, quite frankly. Maybe Nate's got no problem with it. For all I know, there was some producer. They worked something. Sometimes those things happen, but it's not what it looked like. It looked like a nut. Looked like some jerk. But was looking for attention, but he also was creating a bit of a dangerous environment.
Chael further added that the fight set a bad precedent for the show. He said that if Nate Diaz comes back to Russia, he'll be on edge and be ready to swing at the drop of a hat. Sonnen pointed out that as a foreigner in Thailand, Diaz is in a less than stellar position, and regardless of how good he is, the stress of his safety is always going to be there. Cautioned that this could create conditions for even greater pandemonium in the future.
I had something like that happen to me a number of years ago. Vanderlei Silva and I have made up, and Dita and I have made up. It's all fine, but I will just share with you, in that moment of being in a different country, a foreign land, of being surrounded by languages that I didn't understand, of being outnumbered, and then being in an environment where I'm trapped. I will just share with you, it doesn't matter how brave you are, how skilled you are. You are going to feel a certain way. The next day when you've got to come back to the same place and do your job again and trust that Dum Dum and his buddies don't come back, but that's not your only thought. Your only thought is, well, I hope Dum Dum and his buddies don't come back. It's not. Your thought is also, if Dum Dum and his buddies come back, I'm gonna go first.
But that appears not to be an issue anymore, as MMA Guru recently cited that Nate Diaz is once again in California. His departure from Thailand could mean he will not be going to Russian soil anytime soon, maybe leaving the show for good after what happened. Whether this was an intended decision or provoked by the scuffle is not certain, but at least for now, tensions on the set can normalize in his absence.
Not Francis Ngannou full speed crashing into her on a motorcycle. So listen, I don't know what the deal is. I don't know what's going on with the Ngannou stuff, but it seems like he's not going to get in any trouble for it whatsoever.
Moving on, Nate Diaz was again caught on camera causing a scene in an altercation with a bouncer. The exchange seemed intense and contributed to the long list of public altercations surrounding Diaz. This fight again questioned his conduct outside of the cage and generated yet more speculation about his present state of mind.
Oh, he's about to fight. He's about to fight the Nazi. He's about to fight the bouncer. He's about to fight the bouncer. Hey, back up, back up, back up. Back up, back up.
These battles ignited rumors that Nate Diaz was yearning for a comeback and was mulling over going back to the UFC. But Diaz swiftly put an end to those rumors, assuring that he has no plans whatsoever to return to the octagon anytime soon. His message ended the hype, reiterating that fans shouldn't be looking forward to a comeback anytime soon, despite the recent hype around him.
Who excites you the most? Who thinks is like the...
Nobody. That's why I'm not in there right now. There's no buzz. Nobody's doing nobody to fight. Everybody's whack. Every single buddy. In boxing and MMA. There's Poton, Alex Pereira, and there was Adesanya too. I mean, he's still there, but he's not doing much right now.
But as for the altercation, Daniel Cormier was perplexed that it had to happen at all. He could not comprehend the reason why such a confrontation was necessary, particularly in a situation that was controlled like a reality show. Cormier believed the fight had no significant purpose and resulted in unnecessary negativity in the situation.
We do that every day with everybody. Every time, you guys see me, every time I come across a Russian dude, I elbow control him. When I'm with Pereira, we spar, we strike. It's like, you do that with everybody. So what made them pop off to where they actually started fighting? And now what happens? What happens now that Nate Diaz is out the show? Who goes and coaches next to John Jones? Who coaches opposite of him as they enter in the season? It's so crazy to think. And
he then ventured a guess that the altercation could be a product of the long-standing feud between Nate Diaz and Khabib Nurmagomedov. He explained that most of the Russians in the show are huge fans of Khabib, which may have fueled the tension. The underlying loyalty, according to Cormier, may have affected the attitude of the contestant towards Diaz, making the situation personal rather than an ordinary clash. This was a new theory added to the explanation of why the fight erupted.
Put Nate Diaz, who the Russians don't like, on Russian Tough, there's going to be an issue. I don't know. It's actually laughable because I don't know how you couldn't see this coming. You couldn't see this coming when you're looking for a person to replace me or do it not if I'm not doing it. You put Nate Diaz. Khabib and Nate Diaz famously can't stand each other. Khabib can't understand how people like Nate Diaz when he's lost as many times as he's lost. Nate Diaz doesn't think Khabib's a fighter, which is unbelievable. So these guys have been going back and forth for years. They've gotten into fights. They can't in the same area. I'm pretty sure that someone over there on Russian Tough has some sort of tie to Khabib. But you stick Nate Diaz on there. And what happens? He gets into a fight very, very early into the filming of the show over in Thailand. But Nate Diaz gets into a fight with a kid on the show named Zalik.
Adding on, Nate Diaz and Khabib Nurmagomedov have a very long history, and it started when Diaz slapped Khabib at a UFC event. This incident created constant tension between the two fighters, developing a rivalry that has been ongoing both in and outside the octagon. Their previous conflicts continue to shape the reactions of others to Diaz within the surrounding circle.
Khabib's whole team retired. I smacked up all them motherfuckers.
Yeah, what happened with that one?
I slapped Khabib in his face because they were trying to take a picture of me, like taking a joke, and I see all these flashes right here, and then I hear them all laughing. Turn around, there's all these Ewok, look, 20 of them, and they're all turning around laughing, and I'm like, oh, are they taking a picture because I'm standing by him? Before he was champion or internet, he was trying to fight me, but no one knew who the hell he was. He's some new guy. Yeah. So he was trying to find me and get a fight with me, and I was like, F you, bitch. And he turned around and he's like, come on, man, like to shake my hand, and I slapped him in his face. I was like, F you, bye. And when I smacked him and his whole team, they all were like, oh, yeah, they never been in no fight, you job.
Nate Diaz subsequently revealed why he doesn't get along with Khabib Nurmagomedov, calling out Khabib's attitude for being arrogant and disrespectful. According to Diaz, Khabib's attitude goes against what he believes in and how he fights, which are respect and authenticity. This longtime dislike has strengthened their rivalry and made it more personal in nature. Diaz's candid remarks have maintained the tension between the two fighters alive, providing another element of drama to their already complex past in the MMA universe.
He was saying some shit to Khabib where you're like, holy shit, this guy will say anything.
No. Khabib. That was funny. Khabib's the worst.
Why?
Because he's just like, look at him. He ran off. He's a jock. It's not my style of fighting. I don't like it. The style of fighter in general. He's not a real fighter. Him, DC, certain guys are just like, I'm not interested in that kind of fighting at all.
Yeah.
Not wrestling either, because I love wrestling. It's just like the wrestling, like jockey attitude. I'm a real fighter, and I like real fighters. People who fight for real.
Nate Diaz's feud is not just with Khabib Nurmagomedov, it is with his entire camp. A leaked video showed Diaz hurling water bottles at Islam Makhachev and his team, reinforcing the tensions that had been brewing. This event demonstrated that the feud is more than a personal affair between Diaz and Khabib. It has escalated to their camps. The bitter exchanges illustrate how entrenched and multifaceted the hatred is among the MMA community regarding these warriors and their camps. Islam Makhachev, however, later shared in an interview that his personal interactions with Nate Diaz were not at all what people witnessed. He remembered one respectful and peaceful moment they had together inside an elevator, stressing that Diaz's demeanor shifts once the cameras stop rolling. Behind the scenes, Makhachev states, Diaz is more centered and less chaotic, unlike his usually heated on-camera personality. This revelation provides a calmer perspective of Diaz, aside from the intense battles filmed on television.
And then they come to me and say, you are troublemaker, you know. I say, hey, then it's not my fault. Yeah. Diaz start to show them, like, you know,
the middle finger.
Yeah. That day Khabib not in Vegas, he's some other country. What the interesting, like maybe 5-6 months ago, I meet Diaz in the elevator. He go to cross to me and say, respect, respect, respect. Just well, but what changed now? When the lot of cameras come, they always people change, you know.
Evidence of that placidity was also captured on film when Nate Diaz was seen talking with Jon Jones about the bright future of Islam Makhachev in the UFC. Even though there had been tensions previously, Diaz admitted Makhachev's skill and potential and revealed a more respectful and reflective personality. That was evidence that, above the differences, there's an acknowledgement of skill and professionalism in the sport.
Like 3 fights, you know what I'm saying? 3 title fights.
He's talking about with Islam. He's saying that he's a little new in the sport still.
Yeah, still a lot of work to do before.
But he has a big future. You got a big future.
Big future, but I think that same Khabib career not long.
Yeah, not very long.
Yeah, just started the pressure just didn't make the fight turn. So it's done a lot. You know, you kept on keeping on, and I still are.
I feel like,
well, how is this even an argument?
The longer you're on top, the more time your opponents get to study your footage. People fixate on fighting you instead of the next opponent.
And it's starting.
Yeah, it gets harder and harder the longer you stick around, we get older.
And then they're yelling at you, and you're like, you know, you're starting to me. Why are you even talking? I'm not like this.
Subsequently, Nate Diaz was spotted having a positive encounter with a local Thai fighter, displaying a more affectionate aspect of himself. The scene was at odds with the previous confrontation, portraying Diaz's capacity for respectful connection with fighters from other cultures. His polite and courteous demeanor underscored that, in spite of the animosity and rivalries, he is capable of forging real relationships within the combat community, a reminder that there is more to Diaz than what meets the eye. Yet more speculation followed that the fighter on the reality show did not get along with Diaz's work ethic, finding it to be disrespectful, citing what some say is the Khabib mindset. This interpretation was supported by video of Diaz rolling a joint prior to a workout, which critics believed was in contradiction to the professionalism of being expected as a fighter. This conflict of viewpoints put another layer into the tensions on the show and the constant discussion surrounding Diaz's style of training and professionalism. So there you have it, chaos, controversy, and candid moments from the world of MMA's most unpredictable names. From Daniel Cormier's criticism to Chael Sonnen's defense, and Jon Jones' uneasy reaction to Nate Diaz's fiery confrontations, this reality show drama has pulled back the curtain on much more than just a fight. What do you think? Is Nate Diaz misunderstood or out of control? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like if you enjoyed the breakdown, and don't forget to subscribe for more Fight World coverage.